sullen!
It's a man!
No, it's not! Run!
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. The continuation of life must be protected at all costs. Some have said, my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
Good morning, good evening, or good night, folks. I'm your host, Simon Redhanded, and welcome back to Gaming Redhanded. Today, there was the Path of Exile 2 live stream, and they showed out some cool stuff. I am very hyped for what's coming up. They had a new opening cinematic, which I was playing at the beginning there. I cut up parts of it up, but you can see the full thing on their website. They were promising a lot of features here, and I had a lot of concerns about Path of Exile 2, but after seeing the live stream today, I am very much enthused for the game. I can't wait to get on it. I am looking forward to getting on the early access. They discussed some of the features they got planned and the fact that their primary focus of this early access was to make sure the end game had everything in place, which is fantastic change of pace. Let's go through and talk about some of the things that I am very excited about. The first and foremost is the changes to the Ascendancy. I personally dislike doing Uber Lab, Cruel Lab, all of them. I hate doing it every season, and it's actually one of the top contributing factors to why I don't make a lot of alts each season, because I just don't want to do it again. I like to minimize my interaction with the lab. It's great to see that they've changed the system. There are now 3 different methods of getting your ascendancies. They've gone ahead and made Sanctum Core. They've gone ahead and made Ultimatum Core. And there's one more that they said they're going to be revealing after the early access starts. But this is very exciting because I personally love Forbidden Sanctum, so I don't mind doing that over and over again. And Ultimatum, it's hit or miss for me because it was unrewarding in Path of Exile 1, but it sounds like they're changing that up. So I will check it out to see if the rewards come into place. But I'm definitely excited for the new twist on how you get your ascendancy points. They made it clear that you could do any competition you want. You're not forced to do any of them. If you don't want to do Forbidden Sanctum, if you don't like that, you can do the Ultimatum version. If you don't like that one, you can do whatever the third version is going to be when they reveal that one. But they said you could do any one you want. They all have increasing difficulties, and they'll all be able to take you from the earliest levels of your ascendancy all the way to the max. They also mentioned there's going to be 12 classes at launch, each with their own 3 ascendancies, so 36 ascendancies total. However, the early access is launching with 6 classes with 2 ascendancies each. They went through and detailed them all. We can go on the main PoE website to see what the other classes are. We've got the Warrior, we've got the Ranger, we've got the Huntress, Sorceress, Mercenary, Monk, Druid, and the Witch. I'm assuming the other 4 are going to be the original classes that are in PoE 1, which is the Shadow, the Duelist, the Templar, and the Scion. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully they revamped those classes completely. But when they showed off the Ranger has the Deadeye tree and the Pathfinder tree. So this is the Ranger that is from Path of Exile 1, and which is fantastic. I was worried for a minute that they were taking the route of going Diablo 4 2.0, and it was very scary to me because I was wondering, why would Grinding Gear Games, the #1 ARPG at this time, take any cues from Blizzard, who took them almost a year to figure out that Diablo 4 was boring, to fix what it was, and they had no need to take any hints from that company and their games. So I'm glad they got back to their roots. This game very much looks like a upgraded version of Path of Exile 1, which begs the question, when are they going to be shutting down Path of Exile 1? What do you guys think? Do you guys think they should keep running Path of Exile 1, or you think that once this game is fully launched, Should they close down Path of Exile 1 and just focus all their attention on PoE 2? Let me know in the comments. The absolute best part of this announcement was them telling us that they spent the majority of their focus on making sure the endgame was complete and ready for the launch of early access.
Some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins. Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough endgame content. Well, we want to make sure that in PoE 2, people don't feel that way. And we actually only changed our development priority for this recently. The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player. This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea. Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on endgame and make that great. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called Cruel, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards. Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing Cruel difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame.
They outline the reason they did this because most ARPGs fail for this reason. Well, most games in general, they launch, they have a solid early game, and they have no plan for the end game. Well, this is very different. This game, they made sure to have almost all of the end game we currently have access to available in the early access. We got Breach coming up, we've got Excavation, we got Ritual, we've got Ultimatum, Sanctum. It's going to be incredible. And the new Atlas kind of reminds me of a game board. Like, if you look at it now, it's not the same as before where you're kind of filling in spots. You're more traveling, and it feels like you're actually exploring the world of Rayclast in this point here. They said that the RNG is cranked out to 11. There's going to be a lot of procedural generation going on. You're not going to be seeing the same maps over and over again in terms of the layout. And they made it clear that you're not going to have a boss at the end of every map. You're going to go out of your way to find bosses, to find these special objectives like Ritual and whatnot. And as you find them and complete them, you get more Atlas points towards specializing into them, which is great. So before, you had to make this weird Atlas tree where it was like, well, I really like doing Breach. I got to travel to the right side of the tree and make sure that my tree matches Breach and I can only specialize in this and blah, blah, blah. It was all right, whatever, but it wasn't perfect. This method they have now, it encourages you to do the content. And the more you do the content, the more you get points towards that content. So if you really want to specialize in just doing map bosses, you just keep killing map bosses. And as you keep killing map bosses, you get points towards improving your ability to kill map bosses. When I keep doing Ritual, same deal. They have a few pinnacle bosses now. They said the main pinnacle boss, which is, you know, the Shaper and Elders, whatnot. They haven't announced Shaper and Elder, but what they've announced is Zesht.
We that dreamed. We in nightmare. We that are one.
They haven't introduced Zesht before. They introduced his grips, and in the Atlas, he was a modifier for the Breach where you could get Zesht hands to show up, but you couldn't really fight Zesht. Now he's a full-on encounter and he looks incredible. The design of him looks amazing. Even the voice lines so far they showed off. They've also said the King of the Mist is a pinnacle boss, and a few other pinnacle bosses. They've announced that Excavation has a pinnacle boss also, but basically it seems they wanted to make a big deal of the fact that bosses for the content matter now. I think that's fantastic. And I like where they're going with this. I am looking forward to doing the new Atlas. I'm looking forward to how they plan on properly implementing it. I'm looking forward to seeing how long it takes to properly explore the Atlas. You know, there's so much to cover. There released so much news this week. I'm looking into finding the more details. I'm not in the press runs or anything like that. I don't have access to the client. So I'm learning about this game same time as you guys are, and as I find out more information, I'm going to drop more videos. When we get closer to early access, if I can, I'll try to release some builds. Like I said, I don't have access to the client yet, so I might have to just go in blind and figure out what I'm going to do. I have some plans. I think the day before I will release a general idea of what I'm going to start off with, what I'm going to do, but I won't be doing any builds like actually hit end game. It's just going to be exploration from that point on. I'll probably try to capture some story beats, you know, do like a I don't know if I want to do a spoiler or like a lore based run, but I'll probably try to recap what the first couple acts are talking about and then focus heavily on optimizing and maximizing and properly playing this end game from 63 to 100. That's gonna be it for now though, guys. Have yourselves a good morning, and if this is the only video you watch me today, a good afternoon or good night.